You watch all your savings disappear, and there's nothing you can do about it. This is not fate. It's just that as the system itself is tightening its own noose, you are paying the price. The late 1920s glowed like an age of certainty. Jazz music drowned out any real doubts people had. Factories kept humming along at full speed, and credit linked everyone across classes like some endless golden thread. Modern America had finally beaten back all chaos. Numbers, production lines, and prosperity seemed set to climb forever, and a sense of optimism shone bright like neon lights on a warm summer evening. Still, shadows lurked beneath all this glitter. Farmers were sinking deeper into debt, and export markets were beginning to slow down. Yet credit expansion continued indefinitely, and in the mid-1920s, banks grew bolder in their lending practices. They lent money on margin to speculators, and speculators continued to buy stocks as if they were only going up. The autumn of 1929 brought the turning point. The stock market experienced a sudden drop in October due to a combination of factors, including rampant speculation that inflated stock prices to unsustainable levels, a decline in economic indicators, and rising interest rates. Panic selling began on Black Thursday, October 24th, and intensified on Black Tuesday, October 29th, resulting in the market dropping tens of billions in value. Investors panicked, and banks tightened their grip. Faith in the whole thing cracked wide open. The crash acted as just the spark. A tinderstorm waited to ignite. Banks all over the country shook under the weight. They held speculative bets and weak loans. Depositors panicked and yanked out their money. The crash led to the failure of approximately 4,000 banks, resulting in the loss of savings for many individuals and businesses. On top of all this, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act went into effect in 1930. It increased import duties on the U.S. side to protect American industries. Other countries hit back hard. Global trade nosedived. The move toward isolation turned a slump into a worldwide phenomenon. When crises hit the U.S. and other countries, the world tried to recover from the Great War around the same time. The gold standard served as an anchor on the world stage. They feared that abandoning it would cause panic. Due to this, leaders could not increase the money supply and avoided devaluation without depleting their reserves. However, this rigid regulation fueled panic and spread deflation throughout the economy. By 1931, this burden had become too heavy to bear. Speculative attacks and the depletion of gold reserves left the United Kingdom with no other option, and it became the first country to abandon the gold standard. Other countries under pressure followed suit and abandoned the gold standard, not out of careful consideration, but out of necessity and compulsion. However, abandoning the gold standard did not bring salvation. It led to a new set of problems. The shift in the value of money from physical commodities to national policies created a more flexible but much more fragile system. Inflation, unstable exchange rates, and uncontrolled money printing policies. But that is a topic for another episode. Stay tuned to continue tracing the cycles that shape our lives. By 1933, breadlines took over where optimism once stood. Millions lost jobs, homes, and any hope left. Governments tried all sorts of fixes. They rolled out stimulus programs and job programs. Bank reforms came into play. Some people saw it as a fresh start. Others viewed it as straight manipulation. Faith once shattered does not simply return because someone orders it to do so. It sneaks in slowly, or it changes into something else. The Great Depression did more than shift policies. It reshaped how we handle risk, government roles, and the idea of value. After that time, money no longer felt like a solid anchor. It turned into a tool people could wield. Markets lost their status as places of pure trust and became fields for direct intervention. People often wonder what really triggered the Great Depression. the stock market crash, speculative environment, misguided policies, and illogical, impulsive interventions. All of these may have played a role. However, the chain of human reactions was more significant. Pride, fear, rigidity, and delays formed this chain. The monetary system remained too rigid to be flexible when needed. When flexibility was required, it was not a rational decision. Politicians avoided taking action. They waited until the collapse left no room for action. Each era approaches 1929 from its own perspective, and the lessons drawn for interests overshadow the ability to reason. An environment lacking logic and common sense is prone to creating its own crisis. Periods build upon the previous one with new needs, and complexity reaches levels that no one can handle. Complex systems that evolve in response to needs are necessary, but a cause and effect relationship is not always sufficient to establish and maintain a system. The more complicated the system, the stricter the control and protection must be. Knowledge, awareness, and oversight are essential for maintaining public trust in the market. Authorities believe and suggest that quiet periods indicate everything is stable, and in such environments, people confuse easy money with real safety. But what comes easily goes easily. Looking back from today, everything seems very familiar. Debt continues to accumulate to unprecedented levels, largely propped up by leverage. Algorithmic trades shift entire markets in ways that seem cut off from any real human sense of worth, and the whole setup is tied together so tightly that one small jolt in a single spot ripples out to shake everything else. Our money is no longer tied to gold. Its value is determined solely by digital numbers. Yet the underlying century-old belief remains the same. We seek lasting security through relationships based just on trust. The Great Depression is more than just a page in history books. It reveals a pattern that people repeatedly exhibit. When populism, mass acceptance, greed, and panic collide with reality, the entire world is left to deal with the consequences. Before claiming this will never happen again, consider this. Do the foundations built on lessons learned now appear more solid or just more polished? Because history doesn't vanish when charts improve, it waits in the silence between bursts, eager to remind us. If this story leaves you wondering what really holds economies together, subscribe now and stay tuned. Because, as history teaches us, the next big cycle rarely shouts its arrival. It often begins with a mumble, just as it did back in 1929.